Welcome back to Not Rockstars. I'm Daniel Hamill, and this is a breakdown of the teaser we recently got for Season 3 of Beastars. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Beastars, it is a manga and anime about a world of animal people where herbivores and carnivores live in a kind of uneasy peace. The story focuses primarily on 3 high school students, Legoshi, the Grey Wolf. He struggles with his feral instincts and trying to balance them with the crush he has on a small white dwarf rabbit named Haru. Haru is a year ahead of Legoshi and has a bit of a reputation as a slut around the school, but has fallen in love with Louis the Red Deer, who is the rich and pretty star of the drama club. Season 2 of Beastars came out in 2021, so it's been a bit of a wait for the new season. Fans have been a little concerned because the first 2 seasons covered the first half of the manga, and the studio has announced that Season 3 will be the final season. This means that they have to cover the remaining half of the manga in one season. There is hope though, because they have indicated that this season will be a 2-parter. What that means in terms of number of episodes is still unclear, but aside from all that, let's take a look at the teaser. So we start with an image of Haru and Legoshi reaching out to her. At the end of the second season, Legoshi dropped out of his last year of high school while Haru indicated that she was going off to university. When Legoshi's hands reach Haru, she starts to fade like a dream, and then we see a giant foot with the number 4 on the sole disperse the dream completely, and the voice of Louis telling Legoshi to eat. So, obviously, this is Louis' foot. At the end of Season 2, when Legoshi was fighting with Riz the bear, he was almost killed before Louis showed up and offered his foot to the wolf to give him the strength to keep fighting. Unfortunately, this meant that Legoshi ended up with a predatorial offender's criminal record. In the manga, it is shown that carnivores with criminal predation records cannot marry herbivores, so the image of the foot here indicates that Legoshi's act of predation, although it was consensual, is in the way of his future with Haru. After that, Legoshi wakes up, his eyes red as they are when he's in predatory instinct mode. Moving on. The next shot, we see Legoshi with a new wound on his cheek. This could be the aftermath of his fight with the Bloodbone drug dealers in chapter 113 to 114 of the manga, where Legoshi beats up some carnivores who are trying to get other carnivores addicted to meat with a drug made up of herbivore blood and bones. He figures out what's going on and beats them up for the herbivores that he loves, but gets a bad cut on his cheek because of it. Next, we see some quick cuts altogether. Legoshi falling over carrying a bunch of packages. This might reference chapter 126 of the manga where Yahya, the sublime Beastar, a very tall and powerful horse, sets a tripwire to catch Legoshi unawares. He's trying to make a delivery from his udon shop that he works at, in order to recruit him to work on a case. Then a quick shot of Haru spiraling away, followed by Legoshi's hand pulling some money out of an envelope. Once again, could be part of the story of Legoshi working for Yahya, who, as the supreme authority in the land, could eliminate Legoshi's predatory criminal records so that he could marry Haru and pay him enough to get on his feet. The voiceover is Legoshi talking about how he wants a happy life with Haru. Next, we see a short shot of the panda doctor, Gohin, who helps Legoshi out after he pulls his fangs out in chapter 118 of the manga to appease Yahya during their very first meeting. After that, a short image of some pills changing hands that could be Gohin again, and Legoshi, but it's not super obvious who's represented in that shot. Moving on. The next shot is the first image we have received of the horse, Yahya, the sublime Beastar, the highest authority in the land. He's framed in a doorway, and they only show up to his neck. The anime has been pretty on model for most of the designs, so even though we don't see his face, I'm confident that we can call this one Yahya. The next shot is one that I have personally been very excited for. My very favorite character in the whole story, Gosha. Gosha is a Komodo dragon, and to avoid spoilers, I will just say that he's deeply involved in Legoshi's life and also involved with Yahya. You see his scaled hand over some pictures of a baby Legoshi and also young Legoshi hanging out with young Jack. In the manga, Gosha's character was introduced much earlier, and his relationship to the story was established in what would have been the second season, but the studio probably didn't want to introduce him too early in case they didn't get greenlit for a third season. Next, we see Louis holding up a little glass vial in the sun. In the manga, after Free shot Ibuki in the back of the car when Louis was trying to leave the Shishigumi to save Legoshi during his fight with Riz the bear, Louis took 2 strands of Ibuki's mane and keeps them in a little glass vial on his bedside. That's why in the next shot it shows Ibuki's image flashing across the vial. We also hear Louis saying that he has to confront something. Next, we see the prosthetic that Louis now wears since Legoshi ate his leg, and in the background we see Louis' father, Ogama. The prosthetic is much more high-tech than the one in the manga, but it is mentioned that due to Ogama's extreme wealth that he can afford the best prosthetics for his son. Not sure if this is just an aesthetic change or if there's going to be some sort of significance to it. Following that, we see a shot of Haru, and then Haru and Legoshi talking on the street. The voiceover is in Haru's voice, talking about how much harder adult life is than she expected. Then there is a short shot of Legoshi again, with his red instinct eyes, and then Haru's hand next to a cup of coffee and some school books. This will probably tie into chapters 119 to 120, where Haru meets up with some of her university friends for coffee, and one of them, another rabbit named Ako, is dating a lion named Erdo. The two of them make it seem like an herbivore dating a carnivore is no big deal, but Haru doesn't really believe them, knowing the struggles that she and Legoshi have had regarding each other's instincts. Next is a shot of Legoshi's head popping up, looking like a surprised doofus, an expression he is very good at, and the rest of the trailer has a bunch of voices calling out Legoshi's name. The studio card after that says, "A New Path," which could just be referencing the new path that Legoshi is taking in his life this season, or it could be a clue that some of the storylines are being rewritten. More about that later. Okay, moving on. Next, we get a super quick shot of the Cherryton Auditorium segregated between carnivores and herbivores, something that happens after Legoshi drops out of school. Then a quick shot of Jack standing up in a spotlight with the rest of the 701 dogs applauding behind him in the auditorium. This may be a reference to Jack getting into the special classes at Cherryton for being a top student, a major plot point that resolves when Legoshi goes back to Cherryton to hide in chapter 152 of the manga. The card after that reads "Opening Up," which could refer to a very intense conversation between Legoshi and Jack in that chapter of the manga. We get a very quick shot of Juno kissing Louis, which happens right after graduation and will likely be very close to the beginning of this season. Then a quick shot of Jinma, one of the Shishigumi lions, attacking someone. Not sure what this is in reference to, it doesn't seem to line up directly with anything in the manga. Then another shot of Haru looking up, probably at Legoshi, and a shot of Louis looking down, which is probably from chapter 130 where Louis knocks down a carnivore making fun of him, using some tricks he learned from Ibuki. Then we get Legoshi in a dark alley looking determined, followed by the final season announcement. It closes out with part 1 coming in 2024 and part 2 coming soon. But no solid date on when. There's a lot of speculation on how many episodes we're going to be getting, with everyone hoping it's not going to be 2 6-episode halves. Hopefully we'll get at least 2 8-episode half seasons, and possibly even 12 new episodes in each half. We won't know until we get some kind of official announcement. It finishes with the poster that Studio Orange released a while back, showing our main 3 of course, Legoshi, Haru, and Louis, but also the backs of both Yahya and Gosha, indicating that they'll have significant roles to play in this season, all on top of the shadowy figure of this season's big bad, Melon. Now, we didn't get any shots of Melon in the teaser itself, but that's because the character design itself is such a spoiler, and all my manga readers will know what I'm talking about here. Now, there have been some notes from both Studio Orange and manga writer and artist Paru Itagaki on social media that there have been some rewrites for this final season of the anime. Hopefully this means they'll be able to tidy up some of the storylines that were a little ragged towards the end of the manga, and give them time to really stick the landing on this final season of Beastars. So what do you think? Are you going to binge the new episodes as soon as they hit Netflix? Let us know in the comments. You can follow me on Twitter at Daniel_Hamill and subscribe to New Rockstars, because they're awesome. And I'll see you next time. Bye.